Hey guys, so before we begin the guide, I realized when I was editing, because this is my first time using OBS, that the audio came out a little weird whenever I played the music parts. So I apologize for that. It kind of like doubles up and sometimes they're a little phasey, but there's still a lot that I'm showing here and I didn't want to re-record the whole thing, so sorry about that, but I hope you guys enjoy the video and you learn a lot. Thanks.
All right, what's going on, everyone? This is going to be a Suno tutorial. Making this, kind of hoping to get my thoughts out because I don't think there's that much documentation on how to use this, the stuff it could do, and more use cases than just typing like I want a rock song or something like that. Because you could actually do a lot. And so I'm going to start from the ground up for like the complete beginner and go into more advanced stuff and the new studio mode. And um, so yeah, let's begin. You'll start at the home page, and the create section over here is where you can kind of preview your songs. This left area is where you write your prompts or upload stuff. Um, Obviously, you don't need a tutorial for something like, make a rock song or whatever. But in this case, I'm gonna do like a restoration project to kind of show you, one use case other than generating a song from scratch. But there's a lot you could do. And I just realized I only have 180 credits. Damn. When you first get Suno, you'll have like thousands, and you'll be amazed. Like this is one song I was working on, Wonderland, and like look at how many generations I have, because you're kind of going through just extensions. You might be going back and remixing and covering and all kinds of stuff. So, anyways, I'm gonna need to refill that. At one point, that's probably gonna go up. Over here on the top right, you have your model picker. This is the AI. So right now, V5 is kind of like the highest quality, but um, I wouldn't always recommend it. Sometimes 4.5 is actually better, especially for like extensions. But for now, we'll just leave it on 5. It shows you your credits. And you got two different tabs here on when you're making your prompts. For example, simple, you literally just describe like they give you an example, hip hop, and then you'll hit like an instrumental, and then you'll just like click generate. Um, when you go to custom, I pretty much live in this tab here because you can upload, sample audio. Uh, this is for lyrics. I'm not gonna really go over lyrics too much. I mostly just make instrumentals, and I think with everything you're gonna learn in this video, you're not gonna really, you're gonna be fine when it comes to, lyrics and vocals. The Inspire, I've never actually used this. I think this is to keep a voice, to have this, or this is the voice to have the same voice. I actually don't know what this is. I think you can just like make songs in the style of another song. Right here, you write your lyrics. If you don't want lyrics, you just leave it blank, and it knows to make it instrumental. You don't even need to close it, just ignore it. Style, this is where you write your prompts. On the topic of prompts, you could write something like, rock, alt rock. You could do like tags like this, or you could do, more specifically, like I want a drum only intro, and then I wanted to, do this type of crescendo into this and that. And, you know, um, it can kind of like end up writing an essay or something, but I kind of do a little shortcut and I use an AI LLM to write the like prose for me. So like for this example, I have ChatGPT just be like, "Hey, describe a cool rock song, anime vibes, fight scene, superhero." I didn't even spell it right. And then look at everything it just gave me. Now Suno can only work with a certain amount of words. I think it's like 1,000 words or something like that. But you can generate as you go. Like it generates like about a minute at a time, so you can kind of keep going. And then I wanted to, then it gets more hype or something like that. And then you can kind of keep using this to build the track. And then I wanted to break down, then a breakdown. It's like, wow, just look at that go. It's all right, that's enough. That's more than enough. So I'm just stop that, and then a breakdown, whatever. And um, different AI models, like over here, how we were on V5, you can kind of mix and match because you can do certain parts of the song with different models and, kind of go over and recreate the song from scratch. Okay, now I'm starting to touch on kind of the advanced stuff. But these models interpret the language you write in here differently. Some models will work better if you're telling like a narrative, like a whole, paragraph. And then some models, like I've noticed version 5 works really, really good if you just do tags. Like instead of something like this, it actually blows me away if I just say, just give me tags in this style. Something, because you can copy and paste like a single lead guitar screams through the center, bending into a heroic anguish motif. And you could put that in there, just straight up copy paste. But um, you could also just do something like this and kind of leave it more broad, but it's still, giving you just type of genre tags you can use, and that works really, really good. You can also leave it blank and just generate. Right now, it's not letting us do it because you need to be like already working on a song, basically. So we'll just continue for now. Advanced options. So here you can have, these are called negative prompts. So you can have, back in the day, you would have to do stuff like you would write offbeat. So because it's negating the offbeat, it will make an onbeat because it's basically, this is like the opposite. But nowadays, I don't even use this. You don't need to do anything like that. This is basically to tell it what not to do. Like let's say you're trying to do an acoustic song, but it keeps generating drums, acoustic. And then you generate and you're like, I don't want drums. I want it to be fully acoustic. Well, you could write, full acoustic, but another option is you could do it down here. You could say drums. And because this is the opposite, it's not going to use drums. That's what this bar is for. And yeah, it's not really needed anymore. It is more of like an old thing. And for like, yeah, so those are called negative prompts. And depending on what you do, you'll actually get different results. By the way, even though we just have acoustic, every time we click generate, you'll get something. You'll never get the same thing twice. Essentially, you'll get a different thing every single time because that's what it's doing. It's generating. Um, and the way the model interprets, like, how we were doing like tags before, you can get very different results by not having commas or by having commas or even by doing things um like let's say we have all this, right? Anime rock, J rock battle, energy, shonen fight scene, heroic, melodic, emo rock, and let's say it's like I want to capitalize on this emo. Well, you could do something like put it in brackets or put it in like parentheses, and you're basically telling the AI to put more attention to this specific tag because it's in parentheses. So playing around with symbols and punctuation can actually give you like, you might be amazed. You're like, wow, just adding a comma, like now it's generating something amazing every single time. It's really weird, but that's it is kind of like a new technology. So um, people are experimenting all the time, and you should experiment with the ways you write your prompt and stuff. You can even do a mix of this. You have like a paragraph here, and then have your tags on the bottom, or put the tags on top and then the paragraph underneath. Again, you'll get very different results on you know, the way you write stuff and where you position them in your paragraph and the punctuation you use. When it comes to weirdness, so yeah, AIs have something called like a temperature value usually, and I believe that's what this is, temperature. Um, Temperature is basically like a randomness value. Most AIs, when you set a temperature value to 0, you stop getting a new generation every time. Every time you generate, you will usually get the same thing. Like it'll be the exact same thing, which is really strange because really at the end of the day, AIs are like probability software, so it's just probability. So if you turn down the probability to 0, then you're gonna get the exact same thing because the probability is basically, you've like tuned down the probable events so much, you're just gonna get the exact same thing. But the moment you get something like 1 or 2 or something, then you'll start getting something different every single time. But in this case, I think even though you can bring this to 0, I believe you still get different stuff here. So it's like temperature. I think of it like temperature, basically, for people that use other AIs. And honestly, 50 is pretty good value. I'm actually, um, sounds like it's kind of high because if you think that this is a randomness value, um, 50 just ends up being pretty good. And then the more you turn it down, the kind of more probable things are going to be generating. And this will probably make more sense as we start generating stuff. And then this is the more like wild, like you did not expect any of this stuff to generate. Style influence. So this is basically the like prompt adherence. So this is how much it's going to pay attention to what you wrote here. Because you might write, acoustic, but like we were saying, let's say it's generating drums still. And already told you 2 different ways to get rid of drums. You can write something like full acoustic, or you can put drums as a negative prompt, or you could even just turn up the style value because now it's like, okay, we're going pure acoustic here. Um, so yeah, it's basically um, how much is going to follow your prompt. If you know what you want, but you're okay for like it experimenting, you can kind of turn down your style influence. This is going to like loosely follow an acoustic sort of thing. And then of course you can title your song. I'll usually title my stuff kind of towards the end or whatever. Um, I don't know why. Save to, so you can have different workspaces. So instead of generating all your songs in like one area, you can kind of separate them out like one per song. I kind of do this, but honestly, I don't really do it that much. I usually just, this has like 4,000 songs just right here. Um, all right, so I guess that kind of covers like a basic thing. Let's go into like actually making something. So for the example I wanted to bring here, I didn't want to just write, a basic prompt and get something because that's pretty self-explanatory. But we're gonna do like a restoration project. There is this song I made about the time when Guilty Gear came out. I really liked the music in Guilty Gear. And anyways, I was on my old laptop. That laptop's broken, so I don't have the project file for it, but I do have an MP3. So I just loaded it up. You can drag and drop or do go to audio here and then load it that way. And this is the song. You can sort of clip things or trim it. So anyways, call it magnum opus, and you could save it, and it's gonna ask you, do you want to start right away? You can do a cover, which basically regenerates your song. You could do extend, which is gonna make what you have longer, or you could just save it to library. I just save it to library because you could do both of these once you save it. So usually just save it. And sure enough, here it is. This is the song, and it didn't do any AI to it. This is exactly how the audio file sounds. So it was a metal track. It even tried to write what the song is. So like right here, this is your clips of stuff, and then when you click a clip, you can kind of see information about it. So for this song that I uploaded, it wrote all this. Like this is what it thinks the song sounds like. See, it even notices that it's an instrumental. And okay, so I'll play a little bit of it. It's like kind of low quality. Anyway, so yeah, pretty low quality song, and I kind of want to bring it back to life and make it high quality. So we got some stuff here, but like I was saying, version 5 works really, really well with tags. So we're gonna actually use some of this stuff here. I'm gonna just use these tags here, and to feed this back into your kind of context section right here with all the settings, you can drag and drop it, inspiration or to remix. I never do this inspiration one. I've actually never tried it, but yeah, we're just gonna either do remix. You can also go here, and then you get some options here, which are these are considered remix options. So when you drag it into that remix section, you'll see this stuff here, and then you get a couple other options. You can even add vocals to it. You can also click the three little dots. You get some more options here, like you see like a remaster. Um, and this is like one of my favorite features, by the way, but it doesn't work good with low quality audio, so we're gonna fix that, and then we're gonna use this. So you can get MIDI off of it. You can get the stems. Um, let's do a cover of it. So basically, a cover is gonna be a whole remake of your whatever you loaded up. So that's what a cover is. It's like if you looked up a cover to your favorite song on YouTube or something. You don't even have to put a prompt. If you just want to see what the model interprets of what a good cover would be, you could just go ahead and click create. And you see it's already going ahead and generating. And if you noticed, we have a new setting here called audio influence, and that's basically how much you want it to resemble your original audio clip. Now that's a pretty broad statement because it's like, what do you mean by resemble your audio clip? Do you mean resemble its quality? Yes, it does mean that. If you turn this up, usually I've noticed the quality can end up being bad too because my source quality was bad. So you may not want to put it at 100. But maybe when you have it really, really low, it doesn't sound like the same song. It's playing a different chord progression. It's playing a different song structure. So you know, then you might want to turn it up. So there is a bit of a balance here. Also, if you can download any of the songs you generate. So let's say like I made a song from here. If you want to follow along, and you're like, oh, I don't have a song to follow along with, just generate a song, and then you could right click it and just download it, or literally just take your song that you just made and just you could, like I said, you could just drag it and drop it in. So if you want to follow along, just generate a song and then drag it and drop it in. You can kind of start over from scratch with me. So anyways, it generated those covers we were talking about. Yeah, that one sounds very different. cool. But you could um, have prompts in there, and like I was saying earlier, use symbols and punctuation to try to get more out of what you got. So like I got a lot of words here, but I wanted to really hone in on this superhero showdown, and I want it to be like very melodic. Oh, look, I have melodic here. We're just gonna, parentheses this melodic. And if you think of any on the fly, you could just keep going and writing, like drama. You could use symbols, like I said, like 2 exclamation points. The AI uses all of that. So it's basically going back and um, kind of recreating what it heard here. Okay, so I'm also noticing it doesn't really sound like my original clip all that much. And I like my guitar intro, and I know some of these other ones would change it to like piano. So I am gonna turn up this like influence value a bit, bring it to like 40. And another thing is, I dropped in a whole song here. You don't have to do that. You can drop in you like humming a rhythm or something, and then you can cover and then be like, yeah, I want that hum to be like a rock song, and it's gonna do that. You could do like finger drumming. If you have a sample library, you could, drag and drop some of your favorite samples that you're like, I've always wanted to use this in a song but never could figure it out. Boom, you just drop it in there. You could even, again, not use this and just generate your songs. But, I'm trying to go like another level. Instead of just generating a song from scratch, we're doing like a little restoration piece here. Okay, that's pretty sick. We're getting there. Okay, let's bump this at like around 70. And again, the weirdness is kind of its randomness value. So stop. I also think of this as like the creative value. So sometimes I notice when I turn it down, it stops sounding as like musically creative. So I'll generally try to keep this at 50, and this is kind of the main one I'll mess with. Oh, that did something really new. That did something really new and cool and unique with the intro. As you can see, this is taking a while. We already have a lot, and it doesn't really resemble my original intro that much. Like I want to basically kind of keep that. Huh, yeah, that kind of sucks. And this is why you end up using a lot of credits. All right, finally got it. I decided to pause the video because I was like, this is taking kind of long. So anyways, we ended up getting it. So like here's the original intro from the original song. And then it goes into here. All right, and this is what we got. pretty damn cool. So basically, did it better than my original. So we're gonna keep going with this one. I really like how this one came out. So if you liked it and you're like, oh, I'm done, I do recommend going to like create and then remastering. And this is basically going to give you kind of a very different mix of it and then experiment with the subtle and the normal. And you can even double up on these. You could do like two subtles and then one normal or something like that. And you kind of see where it's going. But we're going to start getting into a little bit of advanced stuff now, I think. So that's um, pretty decent, I think, enough to get you started. But now we're going to go into like studio. So I noticed in the beginning of the song here, it kind of starts with like some horns or something. No, like strings. It's got this violin or something. And I was telling you, there's lots of ways you can do like negative prompts. You could say like no strings or something, but um, we actually have access to a workstation. So let's bring this, and what I'm doing here is I'm clicking the three dots and I'm going to open in Studio. So if you're familiar with using DAW's digital audio workstations, this is kind of like an idea for a generative audio workstation, GAW. So we have our song here, and we have a global tempo, and we get clip values, and we can adjust things like the speed and obviously the pitch, um, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. And we still have access to our generation filters on the left. So let's go over like the main kind of modules here. So to use shortcuts, some of the more popular ones is 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And if you click them twice, you'll close it. See, I'm like moving things around. So we have 4 kind of sections. So let's go over them. The first section, if you click 1 on your thing on your keyboard or on the top left right here, we have the same thing that we're used to, and you can bring stuff in. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but all the same stuff we talked about earlier in the beginners kind of area still applies here, and we have our same values. And when you generate stuff, it's going to throw it into your library, right? And it's no different here. We have our library as the second tab. If you click 2, we have the library with all our songs that are generating, and we can drag and drop stuff in as well. And you can kind of make your amalgamations if you so choose. If you click the same button, you close it. So yeah, that's what 2 is. 3 is your timeline. So you have your grid. You can kind of see where the kick drums are landing and all that good stuff. We have our tracks on the left side. You could, of course, create tracks. You can record. You can mute, solo, all that good stuff. And with recording, you could do stuff like I was saying earlier. Record just like a hum. Let's say you want a guitar in a certain like hum style, you can like actually do all that. I Okay, and then we also have our export here, which is pretty important when you want to like get your song as a file, WAV or MP3 or whatever. On the right side, we have like our clip stuff. And yeah, so and then kind of glossed over, but on the timeline, you can generate straight onto the timeline. You don't have to use this one here. You can actually just generate here. And so let's go over why that's useful. So with the clips, if you were to go into the clip settings, we have this button called Extract Stems. And sometimes, I'm pretty blown away if you guys try to make stems off of something that you don't have, like using Isotope RX or something, you can get a lot of like artifacts in the different audio clips. Here you can get artifacts, but what's interesting is you can try regenerating the stems every single time. And even if I wanted to keep working with my original song, which was, I think, the first one down here, yeah, here, you could load this in here and try to get the stems for it. It's pretty fascinating. Um, and stems, if you don't know, are basically your song broken down by each element. So we have, as you see, the drums, the bass, the guitar, the percussion. So what was once, and it always generates in two. So I got two different versions. If you think one stem doesn't really sound like your song, try the second version, or just try doing it again. You can regenerate and keep trying as much times as you want. But anyway, so we have our full song here, and now we have the stem. So we're just gonna insert them, and it mutes the kind of master track. So now we have our song broken down, and you can kind of, hear them solo. Like, let's hear the drums. And you could replace things, so bass. Um, we can generate straight onto the timeline. So let's say like with the drums here, we can actually, I want the first bar to be unique. So we can do that. Essentially go like, see how we have a replace value. So we can actually regenerate specific parts of the clip. Right here on this left corner, we can get access to styles. So if you want, you could do like slow drums. Let's say I want, the intro to actually be a little slower on the drums. Or let's say you want a new instrument. Like, oh, this is like all really, really good. We can generate specific stuff here. So, you know, we can change, if we want like another guitar or a keyboard section, we could bring in a keyboard here. Create, and now it's generating like a keyboard section for the song. Right here, we just created a clip from scratch, but you don't have to create clips. You can replace clips. So like this drum section, maybe I want this drum section to be different. We can go ahead and replace it. And of course, mess with the settings, the creative values, the influence of what this is, or, you know. That she fits. Um, so yeah, I like the drums here, but we could replace them if we wanted to. We also have, you can kind of do a mix if you want, and you can pan stuff, you could move stuff around. And on the topic of generating a clip, you could literally, make a track and then record yourself. Oh, hope I hope that it's because I'm recording here. I hope that I didn't mess anything up on OBS. Okay, either way, hopefully you guys can still hear me. But basically, if you have a microphone, you could put as an input. And now my thing is kind of all messed up. Let me refresh that. It auto saves, so don't be afraid if you, I don't know, internet drops because you're on Wi-Fi or something. It actually auto saves and it has backup. So like this whole time we've been doing stuff, You can just do Command Z, Control Z. Um, I refreshed, so I lost my Command Z, and it's like, oh damn, but like I did some stuff. You can actually revert back to earlier versions. Like look at that, it's been doing backups for me this whole time, so it's super super nice because you can go back to old I have a bunch of projects. Like look at all my projects here. You can go to projects and um like go to them and then revert back to earlier versions of your projects. Like this drum section here. Let's hear it. Okay, let's say I actually do kind of want the drums to kick in right here. We had that, so let's bring that back. And you can kind of just do your thing. Okay, and earlier when I was talking about before I broke down OBS and stuff, you could have a track. Let's say I wanted to include like a flute or something. You can record yourself humming the flute and feed that in. And I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to I don't got vocals like that, but yeah, you could, or you could literally just like what I'm doing right here. I'm just highlighting a portion of the timeline, and you can literally just go to um like woodwind here, and then just generate your flute. I didn't even write a prompt, but you could. You could say like, the flute is like really fast paced or something, or slow. And anyway, so here we go. It's generating that. But if you want something very specific, you could literally record yourself humming it out or singing it, and with drums, finger drumming or whatever, and you'll get that generated.
Okay, and here's a little clip from the devs kind of demonstrating that.
My hope is that it interprets this vocal melody that I've sung as a trumpet.
All right, back to the guide.
Okay, on the topic of using um, the timeline and stuff, you should know that it is going to time stretch to match the beat of the grid. So um, that's really important to know. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it on here, but let's go back to the original clip of the song. Right now, the tempo says it's on beat. I'm going to have it highlighted. Tempo says it's on beat. But if we switch it to original, it may not line up with the grid as good. Like you see how it's like off. But then if I switch it to on beat, boom, you see how it just snapped to grid. So it is really nice to edit and stuff when you're on beat. But if you're gonna export, um, it's gonna degrade the quality. And then if you try to do like a remaster or something, it's gonna degrade the quality even more. So be careful with this. This is something where like if you're exporting your song and then you're going back in the studio and then you export it again and go back in the studio, like sometimes you could be like working on stuff for like a really long time and you don't even notice, but you're degrading the audio quality. Just imagine when you're you know, exporting and bringing it back in and you keep doing this on beat thing and it gets worse and worse and worse. It's like a snowball effect. And another thing I didn't cover is like extending. So let's say I don't want the song to end here. Um, so we're just gonna go back to on beat right now. Sometimes I'll do like an on beat and then I'll fix it later. You also have a global setting here, so follow track kind of is nice because you can leave this as original, and you could put this instead of manual BPM, which is a consistent grid spacing. You can put follow track. And so this allows us to keep our high quality audio because it's not time stretching. And the global timeline will just match the grid. It's a nice idea, but sometimes in practice, it's honestly hard to explain. You're just gonna have to like work with it yourself. But like you might be like clipping stuff in a certain way, and because you're doing this, if you notice the clip here, it moves. See how it's moving back, and now it's moving forward. Well, just imagine when you start, cutting things around and doing like I don't know right here. Let's say you want this like duplicated a bunch of times like that. I see how I just did there. Um, I don't even know how that's gonna sound. It's probably not good. It was just like a demonstration thing, but I don't know. So you wanted to do like a weird choppy thing. Um, and then you're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna switch this. Now it just fucked up the timing, and now when you export it, there's gonna be a point of like nothing. So I recommend whatever you decide to keep this on, leave it. And if you notice that like stuff is fucking up with your project of timing issues, switch this to the other one, and then you have to go back and kind of rearrange and fix what you got. So honestly, the project kind of varies because it's using I think, to kind of match a grid, and so some songs will work better with other settings. So yeah, it's kind of a long-winded way to just say, you gotta experiment. But if you want the highest quality out of your clips and your generations, you want to leave this on original. Sometimes you could try editing with like on beat and then switching it to original later. And then, then you just gotta like do slight edits after that. It's pretty weird, but it's just the way it goes. But anyway, so we didn't get on the extensions yet. So right here, it looks like the song's about to come to an end. So it's like, no, I don't like that. I'm going to delete this, and I want to generate an extension from here. So what you could do is, and you see right here, context window. That's new. That wasn't around last week. It's interesting because before we always had to guess. And the context window is how much the AI is going to pay attention to the surroundings. So like if I'm going to create a clip here, if I just do this, it's going to try to create a clip, but that will sound good with all of this. Let me not do this thing here. Oh, even though it's out of context, it would have been fine. But I've had better luck actually taking a piece of the clip. So right now you see how it says create, but the moment I highlight even like a little piece of this tip right here, it then changes to replace. I've noticed I get better, more things that fit better with the song, and it's a lot more coherent. So you can literally just generate, I'm generating from here all the way to here if you want an exact thing. And I used to do that a lot when Studio first came out, but now I'm kind of experimenting with more other stuff. Like for example, you could when I go back here to the song generation, you could take your clip and then drop it in. So you see how I just literally dragged and dropped this over here. Um, so now it's rendering it, and so we have our clip here, and I want to generate an extension. So now it's going to extend the clip. And then this is like from what point do you want to extend it? And we're just going to extend it from like the very end of it. And I'm not even going to mess with the settings. We're just going to go ahead and do it. Now, this is one way to extend. There's actually one more way to extend, which lately I've had better luck with. But sometimes, you might think, oh, this is gonna, let's see if this worked. So I just dragged in my extension and we're gonna see if it fits. So you can get pretty, you can just keep going, right? And then you could like, let's say like this, you're like, oh, I do like the clip, but I don't like the transition from this clip to this clip. You can just, replace that transition. So like what I'm doing here. And if you notice, if you are trying to generate stuff down here, and you don't have access to your settings, it's because these are open. You gotta like close these and all of a sudden, boom, now I get back to the settings. I'm sorry, the tutorial is all over the place. It's not planned, and it's very like um go with the flowy-ish, but with the nature of it generating, and I know it's it might take a few tries. Just kind of felt like this would be the easiest for me to do. So anyways, it generated. Whoa, this is generating a lot. It's supposed to generate like about a minute or so, so it might look this long, but then it ends up cutting to like here. Um, so yeah, so when I was saying earlier that there's like several ways to extend, we have this way, but outside of this studio mode, it's taking a while to make this clip right here. Oh, also, this is kind of a big thing with Suno that you'll be doing. You'll be trying to extend your clip and getting really good extensions and trying to fix the mesh between one clip and another clip. I spend most of my time in Suno doing this. So, you're gonna be experimenting a lot with like what I just did here, dragging it in here, rendering, switching this from cover to extend, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna extend this and play with the settings and then play with the model that I'm using because different models are going to give you different results. Like that, it's not going to work. I can't even believe it done this. I'm just going to leave it how that was. We have take tracks, so when you start generating stuff in the timeline, it usually generates in twos, so you can kind of hear the different options it gave us. Copy. Like, no, that didn't work. And I know these aren't working because there's like a blank space of audio, which then you could try to fix, but we're just gonna leave it back to the original way that it was. And you can hide that. Um, let's see what else. Oh yeah, in terms of what I just did right now, you know how I made like a cut and then I drag this clip into here. So, um, this is all that is in context. When I hit generate or create, this is the only thing it has to build a song off of. Whereas, like, if I was doing it, like just straight up like this, and then I drag it all the way out to here, even though I only highlight like a second of the clip, we can see the context bar. So it's gonna pay attention to all this to try to make the next bits of audio, which is really important. Because like let's say, for example, basically when whatever you're throwing into here, if you have it be too long, like let's say we just had the one audio clip, like all this, and I'm like, okay, I want to extend from right here. So I'm gonna just erase that. Okay, so I got my full song. I'm throwing it into context. Ideally, this is what we want to do, but I think it's too much context for the AIs because it's now you're telling it to pay attention to this whole song here. But we have 2 whole minutes of audio. This is a bit too much for V5. We're gonna see that this is too long. So if I try to generate an extension, you're gonna notice that the clips are like basically one note and then it ends. So different models handle different amounts of context. I've noticed version 5, while it is the highest quality, it can only work with a little bit of context, like about a minute. So you see this generated 2 seconds and I don't even know what that is. You see like that's not extending my song, but it's because we have too much in context. So you could either, say fuck all of this point on, but I don't want to do that because I actually like this section. But you could, like, oh, okay, just whatever. You can only V5 only handles about a minute, so you could try that, or you can literally just cut out. You're gonna have to eyeball your last minute or so. So let's like say about all of that. So instead of generating the whole thing, let's just move this into context. Okay, so now we got about 50 seconds. So this is much more likely to actually get us something. So we have it on V5. I'm not even going to write a prompt. And we're just going to create. And again, I do encourage prompts. I would normally write prompts, but honestly, not always. It depends. But usually leaving it blank, I'm pretty surprised by like how the model could still kind of know what I want. It's really weird, but all right, anyways. So yes, it now is generating a good extension. If you wanted more context, like there's songs where like I might have stuff from like all the way back here or something, or like let's say this intro. This is the only part where this intro guitar comes out in, because from this point on, the whole thing is different. So it's like if I actually want this intro in the context, how am I gonna do that though from all the way over here? You could use little tricks. So I got a couple. So I made a cut and I'm just gonna copy and paste. So there's that intro, and then we have our like 1 minute section, right? So I'm copying and I'm pasting. So now I kind of made this amalgamation. Um, and I'm gonna load that into context. And also we were already at about a minute, so I could shorten this. So let's do like, so I'm shortening that clip. So I still get my last beat, which is where I want it to extend, but I want it to have elements from my intro. So we're just gonna drag and drop that in. Okay, so now I am able to make an extension and it has my intro sort of clip. This is pretty hit or miss, to be honest with you, because it's going to be so abrupt, it doesn't really make sense in the context of the song. This actually might. You see, it's like that didn't even make sense musically for it to do that. So sometimes you might get generations that will also not really make sense musically. You see, like it's doing abrupt cuts because we gave it an abrupt cut. So to fix that, you could try to, again, we're away from the whole song. The whole song's over here. But, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna regenerate this whole section here. So now maybe it can give us something that does sound pretty good and has my intro elements, and then we can drop it into context. So sometimes you might be doing a lot of work just to be able to give the AI engine a really good context of what you want. Because again, if we only give it, this section right here, how the hell does it know that it wants this guitar piece? It doesn't even know that guitar piece exists. So, yeah. So this may or may not have gone good. Usually you might end up trying this for a very long time. So that might have been pretty good. And of course it always generates in twos, so you could try the other version, or you can literally just you can go back to your original. You can literally I'll use like Command Z. So now I'm back here and then try it again and just keep trying it until you get something that sounds pretty good. And I ran out of credits. Look at that. Damn it. Okay, so this is probably where the tutorial is gonna end. Uh, I've used a lot. Honestly, when I first got Suno, I had like you get like 15,000 or something, and then like it refills every month. And I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna use that much, but you end up using that much. Um, Another thing you could do here, this is a really useful tip, is don't use V5. Okay, V5 is in beta. So if you actually load your audio clip, like I was saying like, oh, this is too much context, it's too long. Um, but you want elements from the whole song. You're like, but it would make really good context. If you get about 2 minutes, I've noticed version 4.5 plus, this could work with about almost 3 minutes of context. It's not going to get it every time, but if you do an extension, and you click create, you can spam it. You could do it like 8 times. I guarantee you, one of those clips is going to be another 2 minute extension, and it's going to be pretty good. But most of the clips it will generate will be like, those 1 second clips or whatever. So try this model. Okay, it's really, really, really good. Um, Another way to extend is outside of Studio. So let's say we go back to, our original song, which was here. You could extend from here. You see how we have extend? And it basically is the equivalent of like if you're in Studio, of dragging and dropping it in and loading into context. Oh, by the way, sometimes I'll have multiple tabs of Suno. And you might even be working on 2 songs at a time, and you'll just flip between tabs as one is generating. So, yeah, it is good to do that. What am I doing? Or you might have one tab in Studio and one tab out of Studio, because everything I was showing you right now about extending your song, you'll actually get different results if you um, don't do it like this. If you do it like this, you click the 3 dots, you go to extend, and then you kind of pick the part you want. So like it was like around here, I think. You don't even need to be precise, but let's say it's gonna be like right here. And like I said, this is way too much context for V5, so we're gonna drop it to V4.5. But I've noticed this should be the same as doing this, right? Because this is the full song. This is the full song. But no, you'll get different results. Like right here, one I don't know if it's a glitch, but one thing that happens is um you'll get an extension, but it'll like repeat the end clip, like this part right here. It'll repeat that like 4 or 5 times or like 3 times, and then you get your clip. So then you always gotta like edit that out. When you do your extensions from here, though, you don't have to do that. So it always generates very coherent stuff. So I recommend actually doing your extension from here. Go here, go to extend, and then when you do that, you'll start getting this. You see how it says part two? And then when you want to merge your parts together, you just go to the 3 clips. Oh, you can right here click get full song, but you can go to 3 clips and then get full song. And that'll um, kind of do the edit and combine the 2 clips for you. And then you can keep doing that. You could like, you see like this part and this part. Let's say I want to combine the full song. You could do that. I don't have. Oh, it lets you do that with no credits. That's nice. So now it's gonna combine this clip with the end of this or wherever it extended from. And then you can keep going, like, and then I'm gonna extend that clip. So you can kind of do your extensions outside of Studio. All right, but anyways, guys, I am out of credits, so this is where the tutorial naturally has to come to an end. Um, Biggest pieces of advice is to experiment, try new things. People are finding new things all the time. I showed kind of a lot of use cases here. Um, Play around with 4.5. Don't just use 5 because it's new and shiny, but it is in beta. So for extensions, version 4.5 has been amazing. And then I'll switch back to 5, and then I'll, do whatever. Play around with the remasters and yeah, good luck using Suno. Make great stuff and share it down below. I'll listen to the stuff. So yeah. Um, so sweet. And I guess for ChatGPT, I have a custom instruction that I use. I'll paste that down in the description, and you could use that for any AI, like Gemini or even Claude. The description, it's like a saved instruction, so you don't have to like tell it every time. Like I literally could just start a new chat and just say rock, and it will immediately know it's supposed to write like rock music speech. So that's super useful. So I'm gonna drop that for you guys because this is like really helpful. There's also jailbreak. I was hoping to start showing some jailbreaks and like stuff like that, but maybe that'll be a topic for the next video if people want to learn about jailbreaking music AI, which is really fun. All right, guys. Have a good one. Peace.